So before starting, we will pray to our Guru Parampara, Srila Prabhupada and our Acharyas. Before we start anything, we invoke, blessings and auspiciousness. So if you open the first few pages, you will get the prayers that I am going to chant. So if you open introduction, page number 1, it will be like this. These are very beautiful prayers. So if you want, you can also chant along with me. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namao Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tam ham vande Shri Guru Dina Taranam. Hare Krishna, I am very honored and very happy to have all of you today. So every Saturday evening and also Sunday evening we have very beautiful programs here at the temple. And on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday also, I think Drivada Prabhu takes 7:15 he takes Bhagavad Gita classes. So
and Thursdays is the Krishna launch.
Thursday is the Krishna launch. Okay, Thursday also. So all across the week we have so many programs. So it's not just a temple; it's a educational institute also for things like the mind. Mind is very subtle and very difficult to manage. So these are educational institutions which help us from all these anxieties and problems that are there in the world. And therefore you see this mantra which is there, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The word mantra comes from man plus tra. Man means the mind, all of us know. And tra means trayate, or to protect, just like Kshatriya or the people who are in the police or in the administration, their duty is to protect us. So trayate means protect. So mantra is something which protects the mind. So man plus tra, mind plus protection. So that is mantra. So we'll discuss about how to manage the mind. So we'll take the verse from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 70. So if you can turn to page number 134. So we will chant this So I'll chant one line, you can repeat after me. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. You can repeat.
Apuryamanam achala pratishtham.
Samudramapa pravishanti yadvat.
Samudramapaha pravisanti yadvat.
Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve.
Tadvat kamayam pravisanti sarve.
Sa shantim apnoti na kama kami.
Sasantim apnoti na kama kami.
Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. Apuryamanam achala pratishtham. Samudra apa pravishanti yadvat.
Samudramapa pravisanti yadvat.
Tadvat kamayam pravishanti sarve.
Tadvat kamayam pravisanti sarve.
Sa shantim apnoti na kama kami. Sa shantim apnoti na kama kami. Apuryamanam, always being filled. Achala pratishtham, steadily situated. Samudram, the ocean. Apa, water. Pravishanti, enter. Yadvat, as. Tadvat, so. Kama, desires. Yam, unto whom. Pravishanti, enter. Sarve, all. Sah, that person. Shantim, peace. Apnoti, achieves. Na, not. Kama, kami, one who desires to fulfill desires. Anyone wants to read the translation? Yeah.
A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that entered like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires.
Yes, I'll read it again. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. Purport. Although the vast ocean is always filled with water, it is always, especially during the rainy season, being filled with much more water, but the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. That is also true of a person fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for sense gratification will continue. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by such desires because of his fullness. A Krishna conscious man is not in need of anything because the Lord fulfills all his material necessities. Therefore, he is like the ocean, always full in himself. Desires may come to him like the waters of the river that flow into the ocean, but he is steady in his activities. And he is not even slightly disturbed by desires for sense gratification. That is the proof of a Krishna conscious man. One who has lost all inclinations for material sense gratification, although the desires are present. Because he remains satisfied in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he can remain steady like the ocean and therefore enjoy full peace. Others, however, who want to fulfill desires even up to the limit of liberation, what to speak of material success, never attain peace. The fruitive workers, the salvationists, and also the yogis who are after mystic powers are all unhappy because of unfulfilled desires. But the person in Krishna consciousness is happy in the service of the Lord, and he has no desire to be fulfilled. In fact, he does not even desire liberation from the so-called material bondage. The devotees of Krishna have no material desires, and therefore they are in perfect peace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is a very important verse from Bhagavad Gita. This is the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. All of you are aware of Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is basically the manual for our life, you know. Just like when you buy a microphone or a television, there is a manual how to operate it. So similarly, Krishna, because he loves each of us, he is in the heart as the Paramatma. Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati. Krishna is always there in our heart. So Krishna comes and gives the instruction for us how we can manage our mind, manage our life, how we can be happy. Because the main purpose of all the scriptures is to be happy. Sarve sukhenu bhavantu. Let everybody be happy. The purpose of scripture is nothing else. It is just to make us happy. right? So Srila Prabhupada, once he went to a marriage and he was giving a lecture, and he said the purpose of marriage is to be happy. And there were a lot of brahmacharis also, who were like celibate brahmacharis. And basically the idea is that we are looking for happiness in so many different things which are very temporary and which may give us happiness for a small amount of time but later gives us frustration. But true happiness is achieved when we actually connect to our source. And what is our source? Who are we? We are the spirit soul. We are the consciousness. We are having this experience. So we have this body and then we have this consciousness. Right? So if we are trying to just satisfy the senses or the body, it will just give us some temporary happiness. But if we try to connect with ourselves, then it will give us true happiness. Just like if you say, let's take some example of a tree. So Prabhupada and Bhagavatam also there is an example of tree. So if you water the leaf of the tree, do you think the tree will get nourished? So where do we have to put the water? Roots. So if you put the water in the root, what will happen? The twigs, the branches, the leaves, the fruits, everything will get nourished. The tree will be, every part will be happy, right? And similarly, suppose my finger, it's very greedy. It wants to eat rasgulla, and the rasgulla is here. It says, "Oh, I want to eat rasgulla." It just, keeps. Do you think can it eat the rasgulla? The finger cannot eat it. The reason is because everything has to go through the mouth. Once it goes to the stomach, the belly, it's converted, and through the blood it is circulated through the whole body. So similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam Puran, which is Amal Puran, it explains that if you nourish the root of the tree, then the entire tree is nourished. If you nourish the stomach, everything is nourished. So when we satisfy Krishna, when we connect to our source, which is Krishna, then we become happy. And most of the problems that we see today is because of that lack of inner connection. We are so externally engaged, we want to show ourselves that we are this great, or we have this so much ego, and we are not following the manual which Krishna has given us to be happy. If we do not follow the manual how to operate the TV, we just do our own stuff, the television may not work, right? So that is the problem. So therefore, if you see in this verse that Prabhupada writes in the purport that, by the way, this is the largest selling Bhagavad Gita in the whole world. It's converted into 82 languages, and Srila Prabhupada has translated and given purports for this. And it is being authorized in a lot of universities all over the world and studied as a part of their curriculum. So he writes in the purport that the vast ocean is filled with water. It is always, especially during the summer season, being filled with more and more water. But the ocean remains the same, steady. It is not agitated, nor does it cross beyond the limit of its brink. So when you see the Pacific Ocean, even though it is rain, it's not like the water is coming to the temple. It's not, right? It's just staying there. It's always staying there. And Pacific Ocean, can anyone tell how long is the Pacific Ocean? What's the length of Pacific Ocean? Can anyone guess?
It's until Australia, but I don't know the length.
It's 9,000 miles. 9s, yeah. It's so vast. There has been no swimmer, no Olympics gold medal who has ever been able to cross the Pacific Ocean. People have tried Atlantic Ocean. It is very difficult to cross the Pacific Ocean. So it remains steady, right? If you see outside the ocean, the waves are coming to us where the surfers are surfing. But as you go inside the ocean, it's always steady. It's not getting disturbed. And all the rivers are getting, into the ocean. The rivers, like in India, we have river Ganga. It goes into the Bay of Bengal, right? It merges. Here also there are so many rivers that basically merge into the Pacific Ocean. So rivers are always very active, very agitated, right? They are like moving. But ocean in the center is very much stable. So similarly, a person who is at peace, he lets all these desires come, but he doesn't give too much attention. He remains stable. So a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires, just like the rivers are entering into the ocean. So similarly, our mind is, attracting so many desires. And how are those desires coming to us? Through our 5 senses. What are our 5 senses? Can anyone tell? Yes? Skin. Yeah, these are the 5 senses, right? Very good, thank you. So the input is coming from there. And what happens when we see something? Oh, this person has this thing, this person has that thing, he said this to me, that to me. So all of that is getting stored into a mind. Our acharyas explain that mind is a storehouse of all the thoughts. So whatever experience we are having, everything is getting captured into our mind. So that person is like the ocean which is ever being filled but is always still. He is always calm. He can achieve peace. Not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. The person, trying to say, I want this, I want that, so many things. Apure mana machalam pratishtam. So he is always, in anxiety. So how do we manage the mind in, amid this world? There are so many attractions, so much of propaganda, Hollywood, Bollywood, video games, and there are everybody is breaking the 4 regulative principles, intoxication, gambling, and whatnot, right? It is so strong. So how do we manage our mind in such a situation? So that is the question. And because of all these things, so many desires, we get into anxiety, people get into depression, right? People are not happy, they are unsatisfied. So how do we manage that? And it's very scientific, So Bhagavad Gita is very, very scientific. If you apply like one shloka in your life will change. So how do we understand that? So there was a research done in UK that what are the reasons that people are dying because of heart attack or cancer. People are dying early and because of all these diseases. These are the top 2 diseases, heart attack and cancer. In that part of the world. So scientists found there are 3 reasons. One is hurry, one is curry, and one is worry. Hurry means everybody is in rush. Curry is like the kind of food they eat. Like mostly non-vegetarian has a lot of carcinogens and it's not good for health. They are getting heart problems and cancer. And then worry is they are always in anxiety about so much about the future, what will happen. So worrying about future is okay, but like too much worrying is, giving anxiety to them. So these are the 3 reasons. What are the 3 things?
Hurry, curry, and worry.
Hurry, curry, and worry. Right? So Bhagavad Gita actually explains all of them. We will not go into detail about the curry thing and too much into hurry, but we will focus on the worry. And because the function of the mind is to magnify a small problem and worry about it. So curry also you have in later in the chapter Krishna explains different kind of foods that we should eat, which gives us nourishment, which give a long duration of life, and what kind of food makes us dull and reduces the lifespan. All that is given. So it's more of a scientific book. It has all the psychology, it has biology, everything is here. So we'll focus on the mind part. So when you say managing the mind, mind means mana. So managing mana, managing the mind. So we'll discuss that. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 6th chapter, 6th verse, if you see, it has a very beautiful and famous verse which says, Bandhur Atmanas Tasya. For him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Right? So if you can make mind your friend, it is best of friends. But if you cannot, then it will remain the greatest enemy. So how is that? So suppose, sorry for that. So there are 2 people, or all of us, right? We look at a particular situation. All of us have certain situations in our life. We go through problems, we go through happiness, we go through honor, dishonor, so many different situations. But everybody looks at it differently, right? Some people look at opportunity as difficulty. Oh, I'm getting so many job offers, what should I do? That is also, people get so much frustrated. Or if somebody is not getting any job opportunity, then to get frustrated is okay. But people can look at the same situation in a different way. So how Prabhupada has explained this is, if you wear like red colored glasses in your eyes, how you will see the entire world? red colored, right? If you wear green color glasses, you will green. If you have clear glasses, you will see the world as it is. So similarly, we have those glasses on us in our minds. So basically, how we perceive things. So everybody perceives differently. Let's take an example of a rose, right? So if I have a beautiful red rose, then what will happen? A botanist, how will a botanist look at it? He will say, oh, the chlorophyll is here, the stems are here, the water is coming, and all those, scientific and botanical things. And if a lover is looking at the rose, he'll probably think, oh, Valentine's Day is coming, I should give that flower to my beloved, right? So he will look in that way. And the artist will look, oh, how beautiful these water droplets are there on the petals. Let me draw that. The artist will look like that. And someone who has allergies, he will say, let me get away from the rose. I don't want any roses. So every person, it's the same rose, right? Similarly, it's the same situation for some of us. And then the way we look at it is different. Right? So the perception is different. So we'll discuss why is that so. So this is a very simple example that Prabhupada has given about wearing the glasses. So similarly, Prabhupada has, across his book in Bhagavad Gita, he has shared so many analogies, very simple way how we can actually understand what life is, what our real purpose of life is, how we can be happy. So he just came to America with only 40 rupees on the instruction of his Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in a ship, and he has heart full of compassion. He didn't wanted anything from anyone in the US. Most of us come here to make money. Masters, I also came to do a job here, but he came to give something, which is the scriptures. One time Prabhupada went to London and the reporter asked, why have you come here? Because sometimes reporter can be very... and then Prabhupada very gently replied that you have looted so many things from India, Kohinoor, diamond, so many gold and silver and everything. But I have come to give you something which you forgot. That is the Bhagavad Gita. That is the Vedic knowledge. And that too free of cost. So he has given us so much of knowledge, translated so many Sanskrit books into English language, all these slokas and everything. So therefore, the real problem is that because of all this fear, we have fear of the future, what will happen, and we have envy, why is someone better than me, and we have so many desires in us, and the root cause of all these things is because we are disconnected from ourselves, because actually we are not finding happiness anywhere, Why we envy others? Because we want to get some praise, we want to get some love, appreciation. We are not getting it, we are frustrated. We envy other people. And what is the root cause? Because we are not getting fulfilled like the ocean. The ocean is always filled. We are not getting that happiness, that satisfaction, who we are. And the reason is because we are not connecting to our source, we are not connecting to Krishna. We are not connecting to ourselves. Krishna is there within us. Sarvasya chaham hriday sani vishto. Krishna is there within our hearts. So all these problems are because of disconnection. So there is a nice story of a child. This is a real story. So there was a boat where someone was taking from Arabian Sea in India to across the ocean just for a trip. And immediately the storm started coming and the boat started shaking and everybody was like shouting, howling, what's going on? And there was one girl who was like 5-6 years old and she was very peaceful. And one of our friends, he went to her and said, hey, you are not afraid? You are not fearful? Then she said, no. She said, what is the reason? She said, because I have my mother with me. I know she will protect me. Nothing to fear when your mother is near. Similarly, our mother is Srimati Radharani. Krishna is our father. Aham bija pradapita. Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, I am the seed-giving father. Where is the seed of that banyan tree coming that it is growing so huge? Right? Where is the seed of that German, what is that tree called in Sequoia National Park? General Sherman tree. It's 2200 year old. Or in the redwood forest, the grand trunk tree, it has like, you need 40 people to hold around. How is that tree coming from such a seed? Who is giving that seed? I know some of you are in biotech, here, scientists and PhDs. Can you develop a seed which can grow into such a big tree in the laboratory? If that is possible, then Elon Musk would just, make one Tesla car, and then automatically from that many cars will come out, and his job is easy. But he need a factory to do so, right? Every car has to be made, but from one seed, tree is coming, and from that tree, thousands of seed are coming, and again trees are growing. It's an automated process, and behind all this design, there is a designer. And people say, oh, there is no God. Everything is happening by chance. Well, if I throw this microphone, will it turn into my Mac? I don't think so. So, behind every designer, behind every pattern, behind every energy, there is energetic, there is a designer, there is a creator. Right? So all this is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, everything. These are very scientific books which have all the details about the origin of the universe and the future also. It has, Srimad Bhagavatam has predicted like appearance of Lord Buddha and Chanakya Pandit, So all these great personalities, and future also it tells. It's so beautiful, it's so amazing. And even our great acharyas in India and South India, like Ramanujacharya, Madhavacharya, like 1,000 years back, they told how the universe looks like. If you take two people leaves and a rabbit which is inverted, if you can imagine, it's difficult, but it's actually the map of the whole world. And these acharyas told us such a long back when Columbus or anyone else could have explored America or other continents. So it's so scientific. Srimad Bhagavatam explains how a baby in the womb develops every month. And what is the baby thinking? Like, first month the head is formed, child is formed, bone is formed. Second month what happened? Third month. And how do you attract a particular soul in your womb? It's based on the karma of the parents and all those things. So it's so scientific. And ultrasound is just how many years back? Does anyone know? When was ultrasound discovered? Yes, any guesses? 1933. Yeah, approximately, yeah, correct. So around 60, 70 years old maybe. Is that exact? 33? That's a very accurate guess. Yeah, so it is around 60, 70 years old, and Bhagavatam is, 5,000 years back when Vyasadeva wrote the Bhagavatam. So it has so many scientific truths that scientists are discovering now. It has that how atomic clock works, the concept of atomic clock, because the smallest unit of time, right? What is the smallest unit of time? Does anyone know? The time, like we have second, millisecond, microsecond, nanosecond, whatever, go on. The smallest amount of time is the vibration of the atom. How long an atom takes to vibrate. Based on that concept, the atomic clock is made, and that is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Amal Purana. There are 18 Puranas. And Srila Prabhupada has converted all those Sanskrit verses into English language. Spending all night. Especially in LA, we have a big temple also, so staying there, translating and going all over the world. So yeah, we were talking about the mind. So the main thing is to basically rise above these selfish passions and disconnect ourselves with what we are trying to find. So who we are actually, just trying to connect to that. And generally what happens is we try to identify ourselves with so many external things like, I am Indian, or I am American, or I am of this caste, I am of this race, I belong to this community, or I am an engineer, or I am a scientist, or I have a PhD, so I am better than others. As soon as we think all this, that's all. And then our mind will think, we are superior and we want respect, and if somebody disrespects us, then he's the biggest fool in the world, and our ego is like so much pumped up. We feel frustrated if somebody disrespects us, right? It affects us, and that leads us to unhappiness. We are not satisfied, we are not happy, all because of our ego and those desires. So And it also spoils our relationship with others, because in a relationship there has to be an element of forgiveness, right? And love, and doing something for the other person. So when we are talking about relationship, obviously the relationship of husband-wives comes into picture. So I'll give a small example of that. So once, this is a true story. You know Mahatma Gandhi? Everyone knows Mahatma Gandhi, right? So Mahatma Gandhi also used to read Bhagavad Gita. At the back there is a quote of Mahatma Gandhi also here. Third last quote. He says that when doubts haunt me, when disappointments stare me in the face, and I see not one ray of hope on the horizon, I turn to Bhagavad Gita and find a verse to comfort me, and I immediately begin to smile in the midst of overwhelming sorrow. Those who meditate on the Gita will derive fresh joy and new meanings from it. So he had a fight with his wife. Can anyone tell the name of his wife? Huh? Who told? Yeah, nice. Kasturba Gandhi, right? And they had a fight, and obviously when husband wife are, then they will say, okay, you get out of the house. She said, I am going. So she left the house. And after some time, Gandhiji was working on something, and he came out. And he saw that his wife is sitting on the stairs outside the house. And he said, I asked you to go and we had a fight and you are still sitting here. So she said, I don't have anywhere to go. Where should I go? This is my house. Even though we had a fight, that's okay. But this is my house. I want to stay here and continue. He said, okay, come. So the idea is, there may be so many disagreements and there may be so many exchange of harsh words, but ultimately, we have to understand that our relationship is there for a higher purpose. Especially people who have kids, or even if they don't have kids, but the idea of marriage is, like I was telling initially, Prabhupada said the purpose of marriage is to be happy. And if not for themselves, then for the kids, people have to think that, okay, for their future, that is a higher goal. We have to live for them together to give them a better experience, better childhood. So in a relationship, it is very important to sometimes let go and forgive, because we cannot just keep thinking about one thing. Sometimes we remember, you said this to me 20 years back, and you still remember that, and you repeat to the other person, and you said this. How is it going to matter today if somebody said something to you 20 years back? So what? Does it really matter today? If you are going to die, are you going to remember that this person told me that thing 20 years ago? I don't think so. What is important for you at the time of death is the consciousness. You should have a good consciousness. And Bhagavad Gita explains, at the time of death, we should be remembering who? Krishna. Yam yam vapi smara bhavam tejante ante kalevra. Tam tam evaiti konteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever we remember at the time of death, the next destination we will get. If we remember of Krishna, we will go to Krishna. And we remember of, like we are frustrated with someone, whatever consciousness we have, we will get the next life. It is very important to have a nice consciousness. So with the power of the mind, it can actually, even in this life or in the next life, it can take us to heaven or hell, right? So it is very important to have the right consciousness always. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, so we have Gaur Nitai on the left, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave secret of happy living. He said the secret of happy living is Trnadapi sunichena taroreva saishnuna amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. That which person can actually chant the name and glories of the Lord. So if you are chanting an association of devotees and worshipping, coming to the temple, how can you actually continue that? He says, Trnadapi sunichena, to be humble like a blade of grass. Can anyone understand how the blade of grass is humble? If you step on a blade of grass, what happens? It springs back, right? It is humble. Amanina, we respect others, but we do not expect respect for ourselves. Respect everyone. It is very difficult to implement this, but that is the secret. Amanina manadena kirtanya, that person can actually chant. And then he also explains in different ways that number one, we should not criticize anyone, and number two, we should always chant the holy names of the Lord. So when you say do not criticize, we spend so much time in gossiping, which really doesn't affect us or the other person. We're just talking, oh, this person is like that, this. I mean, even though you are not getting impacted by that person, still we are gossiping. And yes, if somebody is at fault, it doesn't mean that, we are humble that anyone can exploit us. It doesn't mean that. We should not obviously bear any abuse. But what it really means is to be humble and understand that Krishna is great and he can help me. I'll do my best and Krishna will help me. That is the meaning of true humility. Because Krishna is great, my father is great. So why should I be, fearful? And yeah, that's important. And then, so there is a very nice analogy in the Native America about the good dog and the bad dog. Does anyone know that? Good dog and bad dog. So it says that within each of us there are two dogs. One is the good dog. So what is the good dog? The good dog is good. It means it is like just barking, pow, pow, like very softly, very nice. It is, what it means is it's the humility within us, the compassion, the love for others, and the selfless service that we do for others. And the bad dog, pow, 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 like, he's very strong. And that dog is greed, selfishness, anger, envy, lust, pride, all these things. It lags us. Elegy, lust, anger, greed, elegy, it will lag you. Just like in semiconductors, the current will lag if you put resistance. So that will lag us. So these are the good and the bad dog within us. So can anyone tell which dog will win within us? Whoever we choose to feed, whoever. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. What's your name? Rahul. Nice, Rahul. Thank you. So, whichever you feed more, that dog will bark loudly. Right? What did you say?
Whichever you allow to.
Allow to, yeah, exactly. So, if you feed more, obviously you allow it, okay, you take the food and then you bark. Right? So, similarly, if we feed all these things into our mind which are like promoting greed, selfishness and all these things, that dog, and we will take that decision obviously, because we have given time to that dog. All those, we are watching those kind of videos, we have those kind of friends, and we are watching those kind of movies or whatever. We are feeding that bad dog basically. Or the good dog. If you are reading Bhagavad Gita, then obviously feeding a good dog, then we will take decision based on that. Right? Like in computers, who are computer science here? Computer science students or you? Are you doing masters? Okay. So there is a concept in computer science called garbage in, garbage out. Right? GIGO. If you feed, like if I feed some data which is garbage, the computer screen will show, or a computer program. So I'm also working in PayPal as a cyber security architect. So if I feed some garbage into my program, it will give me a garbage output. So similarly, the mind works in the same way. If we feed garbage, our decisions will be garbage in life. We can ruin our life actually. We have seen so many people. I mean, personally, I have seen, across my friends and relatives, just by, getting influenced by these TV serials, these movies, the friends, people have ruined their lives. Has everyone experienced that? Has everyone seen that? Examples? Like just by bad association, people have basically ruined their lives, They get into drugs, they get into intoxication, gambling and whatnot. Relationships which are outside, which are not, basically not good. So, but the good dog, the values of unselfish love and compassion, they bring fulfillment, just like the ocean, apure mana machlam pratishtam. So on spiritual platform, it brings us beyond selfish passions, envy, anger and fear. So that is the idea here, and the main thing is the mantra. So we have this mantra here, written here. In this mantra, you see, with this mantra, man plus tra, as I said in the beginning, man iti trayate iti mantra. So it brings peace, it brings fulfillment, and it connects our consciousness to the original source from where we are, because we all are part and parcel of Krishna. This Atma is an ansh of Paramatma, and Paramatma is Satchidananda. Sat means, obviously, what is the meaning of Sat? Truth. Chit means knowledge. Ananda is bliss. So when we are part of something which is Satchidananda, then why shouldn't we be Satchidananda? Actually we are, our soul is Satchidananda, but it is covered with the dust on the mirror of the mind. Just like you have a mirror, there is a lot of dust. Can you see your face? Can you see yourself who you are? We cannot actually see. So basically the mind is coming in between our actual consciousnesses, so we cannot actually feel and see that. So what we have to do next is, we have to clean that dust. So, Cheto Darpan Marjanam. So, it basically, to clean the dust, the process is, to protect the mind is mantra. And to connect with our supreme identity, Supreme Lord, Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 435, having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mine. So now the solution, now the best part comes of this entire presentation. So we know all these things. I'm sure all of you know whatever I spoke till now. But I'm going to share the secret now. How will you actually attain this knowledge? How will you actually realize this? Because theoretically we can understand. But how will we actually, imbibe in our heart and apply it in ourselves? How can we see that change in ourselves? That is the most important thing. So this verse 435 gives the answer. From a self-realized soul. We have to get this knowledge from a self-realized soul. And so when we say like Prabhupada, he's giving us these purports. So reading this through the pure soul, because Prabhupada's guru, it's coming from Krishna himself. That is the main source. Just like electricity is coming from the main powerhouse to this temple. So it is connecting to that. So it is authorized. If we read this, if we follow the process, we will get it. And the most important thing is getting it through a authentic, authorized, self-realized source. There's so many examples in our scriptures, If you take the example of Mrigarari, who knows Mrigarari? He's the hunter. Anyone knows? Valmiki. No one knows Valmiki, who wrote the Ramayana. So there was a hunter, he was killing the animals, half, just half, and he was getting a lot of bliss by killing them. So Narad Muni came and said, why are you doing that? If you have to either kill fully or don't kill. Why are you doing this? So I get a lot of enjoyment. He said, no, you should not do it. You should chant the name of Ram. When you chant the name of Ram, all your sins will go away, and ultimately the desire to kill will go away from your heart. We have so many desires to do this, that, so many wrong things. So if we chant the name of Krishna, Ram, this Mahamantra, that will go away. So he said, chant it. He said, I cannot chant Ram. Because even to chant the name of Ram, you need some sukriti, some pious credits, right? Not everybody can chant. It's not easy. So this Narad Muni, the guru, self-realized, so they are very smart. He said, you are always killing. Killing in Hindi means mara. So you chant mara, mara, mara. So when you chant mara, 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 please chant mara, 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 mara. So it will become Ram, 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 Ram. Right? So that's how this person became a great devotee of Lord Ram. And in Bhagavatam also there comes a narration of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj, as we know, he goes to the forest, he gets insulted by his stepmother that, you have to take birth from my womb, otherwise you cannot sit on the father's lap, Uttanapat. So he goes to the forest and he's praying, I want a bigger kingdom than my father and grandfather and everyone. And he's meditating on Krishna, and then when you are meditating, when you are sincere, Krishna will send a guru for you. Krishna will send a person who will help you in your life. So we have different gurus. We have Path Pradarshak Guru who introduces us to this process. We have Siksha Guru who gives you Siksha, who discusses items with you. And there is Diksha Guru who gives you initiation into the Sampradaya, gives you, in our Sampradaya we get like chanting beads, where you can chant. The Guru gives that. That is the Diksha. So Dhruv Maharaj was in the forest and he was praying, and Narad Muni came. And Narad Muni taught him the process, how to actually please Krishna. And in 6 months, Krishna appeared to Dhruv Maharaj. So how he appeared? Because of Narad Muni, because of Guru. Prahlad Maharaj, when he was in the womb of his mother, what's the name of the mother of Prahlad Maharaj? Kayadu. She was being kidnapped by the demigods, because the demigods, Indra and all, were fearful. Oh, what if this son of Hiranyakashipu takes birth? He will be another headache for us. Already his dad is doing so much. We don't want him also to give us trouble. So they took him, and then Narad Muni was actually speaking about Krishna to his mother, and obviously indirectly to the baby in the womb, in the embryo. So that was Prahlad. He was hearing. And just by hearing the instructions of Narad Muni, Prahlad Maharaj became a Mahabhagavat. He is one of the 14 Mahajans. Mahajana Yena Gathasa Panta. Whenever there is contradiction in the scriptures, we refer to what the Mahajan has said, what he is doing. So he is such a great personality. And because of him, Narsinghadev appeared. So this is the example how Prahlad Maharaj got instruction from his Guru, and then he attained the perfection of life. Narsinghadev came for him. And then we have example of Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada, in 1922, he was living in Calcutta, and he basically favored a lot to Gandhiji, and he just kind of revolted against the British Empire, which obviously is very obvious. And he was studying in a Scottish college there, and when they were giving degrees, he rejected the degree because he favored, our India movement, Gandhiji. I mean, it's a kind of a revolution, right? It's kind of big revolt. Imagine you have spent like 4 or 5 years of whatever years into studying something, and you are going to get a certificate or degree, and you said, I don't want it. You are putting your entire career at stake, literally, right? How many of us would be willing to do that? He did that. He said, I don't want that degree. And then he went to, somebody told, one sadhu has come, let's go and meet. He said, no, I don't want to meet. I know these sadhus, I don't believe in them. I don't want to go. He said, no, please come, he's very good. So Prabhupada went, that is in Calcutta, in Ulta Tanga Junction Road. So he went up the stairs on the, upstairs on the terrace, there was a sadhu who was sitting, and then some people were listening. And he went there. And as soon as he went there, immediately the sadhu said, you look like a very young and educated man. Why don't you preach the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world? The message of scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, all over the world. So he said, what is this? As soon as he came, he saw him, he got the first instruction. And then Prabhupada kind of argued with him. He said, who will listen to us? Who will listen to this message of scriptures when the country itself is not dependent? It's under the slavery of the British Empire. Who will listen to us? First we have to get independence, and only then we can preach this message to outside world. So then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj said, this message is very important. It cannot wait, and it is beyond the independence of the country. It is beyond birth and death. It will give independence to your spirit soul. It is very important, and you must preach it. So obviously there was a lot of conversation there. But in short, Prabhupada was convinced, and in the first meeting, which is 1922, exactly 100 years from now. So we are celebrating the 100th anniversary when Prabhupada met his Guru and got this instruction to spread this message of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. So based on the instruction of his Guru, this entire ISKCON, we have Prabhupada built like 108 temples in 10 years, so many farm communities. Right now we have like over 700-800 temples and so many farm communities, Govinda's restaurant and food for life. And in India there are so many school colleges where children don't come to the school, they are poor. We are supplying food in conjunction with the government. So many things happening just on one instruction of this Guru. It is so powerful. It is so important to have a mentor, a teacher, and someone we can actually trust and depend on. Just like you're driving, you have the GPS. You're driving, it will tell you take left, go straight. Sometimes, you may miss the exit. It will say 400 feet, turn right, 400 feet. But sometimes you're talking or you're distracted and you go straight. So again, it will say rerouting. So we need someone like that who can actually provide us and help us in that direction. That is the secret. So, because in the morning we do this arati that yasya prasado bhagavad prasado yasya aprasada na gati kuptopi. If we have the mercy of the Guru, then Krishna is pleased. And if we do not have mercy, Krishna is not pleased. So it is very important to accept a bona fide Guru, follow the instructions, and to imbibe those into our hearts very sincerely and seriously. And there is a very beautiful verse in, I think, Shvetavasara Upanishad. It says, Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha guru tasyati katitam yartha prakashante mahatmana. If someone who has equal faith in Krishna and Guru, then all the essence of the scriptures are revealed within the heart. Prakashante mahatmana. So all the secrets are revealed. So yeah, this is how we can actually, manage the mind. So to summarize, there are 3 steps how you can manage the mind. One is sadhana, which is our spiritual practices. We can chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra just 1 round in the morning. Whoever is not chanting, 1 round in the morning, you can just brush your teeth and sit. There are no rules and regulation. Na niyam na kala. Koi niyam nahi hai, koi time nahi hai. You can chant in the night, day, whatever you like. But best is if you can do in the morning, just it take 5 to 10 minutes. 1 round of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay. So that is there. Sadhana, sada, and then satsang. Satsang is coming in the association of like-minded people, getting inspired, like that. That is satsang. Accepting a bona fide Guru and, following the instructions of the Guru. That is satsang. And sadachar is our character. We may talk a lot, I may give a big class, you can listen, but after this, my character is all over the place. It's not as per the scripture. Then what's the use of doing all this? It's useless. Because the purpose of this scriptures is to actually change our character, to have a character full of integrity, honesty, and full of compassion, kindness. That is the most important thing. So what are the 3 things? First was sadhana, satsang, sadachara is our character. So this is the secret, and this is what our scriptures teach us. It is very scientific and very practical. So if how many of you are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra here? Okay. Oh, you are chanting. Okay. So who are not chanting, maybe you want to start maybe 1 round. How many you want to start with 1 round of chanting? No, right now you can go at home also, and maybe you have mala, japa mala, beads. Okay, I see. So I think we have here, we can give, or you can buy also. Tomorrow today is closed. Tomorrow it will open, so you can take and chant 1 round. So that will actually change your life. It will. If you are working, I was working at AT&T in St. Louis. I just started chanting 1 round. It brought so much focus to my mind. Actually, I was able to finish my work very early just because of chanting. So it not only helps you in your studies, in your professional life, in your relationship with each other. I mean, these are just byproducts of that. To say that it helps in so many things is just showing like lamp to the sun. The Mahamantra is very powerful. It has the power to actually transfer us to the spiritual planet, Here we have to, in this planet, we have to worry for small things. We are, worried about this, future, that, buy this house, that, so many things. But there, everything is there. We don't have to worry about anything. So it gives that supreme benediction. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidya Vadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrit Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So it has so many benefits that are immeasurable. So We wish you all the best, and thank you for your patience. And now, thank you for tolerating me for such a long time. Now the best part of the program comes, which is very special prasadam. So we cooked very nice kachoris and sabjis and whatnot. So please enjoy it to your best. And that is Krishna prasad, that is sanctified food. It is offered to Lord Krishna. So it has His mercy. So we should try to eat Krishna prasad as much as possible, which will help us. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.